Good morning from New Zealand. Welcome to the Dream Big interview series. I'm so happy to be here, and it is 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. I'm with Leanne Scalley, and she is with me from Charleston. Good morning, Leanne.
Good morning or good evening over here. We are at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time in Charleston, South Carolina. Thanks for having me this evening. It's a nice way to end a Monday. So thanks again for having me tonight.
No, you're welcome. And, just so viewers know, the way that we met is Leanne and I were part of a talent attraction docufilm, which was filmed in Miami. That was earlier this year. And I've seen Leanne go from strength to strength with her business. And so I had to have her on my Talent Trailblazers series. There was no other option. So thanks for joining me, Leanne. And what I'd like to do first is just introduce you as you are, which is you're the CEO of your company, OneinaMil, and you are really driving forward the recruitment agenda, the talent agenda in your hometown of Charleston. And you'll talk more about that very soon, which I'm really excited about. But the first thing I wanted to ask you, Leanne, is what inspired you to be part of the Dream Big interview series?
So that's a great question. I think, it's actually a very simple answer though. And it's funny that I think with recruiters, we're all so busy and we're kind of go, 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 and nobody has any time to, to really do a lot. And I think at times, I was just having this conversation yesterday. We did a recruiting boot camp on a Sunday all day long in Charleston when we should have been on the boat. But you're always trying to cram it in. And sometimes even, with phone interviews, you're kind of getting prepped, 5 or 10 minutes before. And I think, it was one of those things where my staff had asked me today, well, what are you doing at, 5 o'clock, 5:30? Who are you speaking with? I'm like, well, I'm speaking with this woman who I met at the Top Recruiter, and whatever she's involved with, I just want to be a part of. So seriously, I'm very, very impressed with your background and what you bring to the table. And I remember our conversations at dinner when I wasn't playing Kathy Camera. We had a really good time together in that corner, and I was fortunate enough to be able to sit next to you and kind of pick your brain and understand what you do and what you bring to the industry. And so I'm just happy to be a part of really anything that you're doing, because I know that ultimately it'll be to help the industry grow and also push the movement, which is what we've all been kind of working towards.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about a collective, coming together as a collective, and and collaborating. And I completely agree. We can't do it alone. The industry needs to lift the benchmark, and I think this is what we've been involved in with the movement with Top Recruiter. And having technology makes us able to connect globally, and this is why I love doing what I do in the Dream Big interview series. So let's have a whistle-stop tour of how Leanne got to where she is, CEO of her own business today. So what were the milestones that got you here, Leanne?
Sure. So do you want the serious version or do you want the funny version?
The funny version, please.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be honest with you here. My background's kind of crazy. Just to start out, I'm the oldest of 7 children, and we grew up in Massachusetts. So my life has always been kind of crazy. And growing up in a family of 7, there's obviously budget and money constraints. And I remember being 10 years old and my family telling me, well, you can only have $20 here or $20 there or whatever it might be. And at 10, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this my own way and I'm going to go get a job. And so I hit up my uncle at the time, who was an entrepreneur, and he put me to work on the weekends. Every weekend I had the chance to work with him, cleaning banks, cleaning up construction sites, whatever it might be. He paid me pennies, but to me, it was independence and it was freedom. And it also allowed me to continue to be kind of the leader that I am as a person, and be, that even that kid that was just like, hey, I have money, I can do what I want, and I don't need anybody else. So it was very freeing. And at that time is when I realized I actually wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I took a long path to get there. When I graduated high school, I love dental hygiene. So kind of did a little bit of a trip down that road. Loved working with people. I still actually do that today. But, I went to school for HR and recruiting human resources I realized was just not a good fit for me. Again, that's more like rules and regulations, and it just didn't allow me to be free and be fun and build trusting relationships with people, which I realized that I was really good at doing. So after college, I started working with Aerotech, which I'm sure most people are familiar in this industry. So that's where I got all my training from. And I'm very thankful for all that training. But I think along the way, I realized that I wanted to always be an entrepreneur. I needed to figure out how to get there. But I didn't want to run my recruiting shop like Aerotech, because I thought that while they have a lot of amazing principles and I learned a ton, I felt like there was a better way to do recruiting. And so I worked at a place called Innovative Hiring Technology for a few years, learned agency recruiting, worked for a pharmaceutical company in Cambridge, learned the inside corporate recruiting. And then, I did hygiene for a little bit in between, and then started working with a software development shop. They actually got me back into recruiting, which was awesome because I started to recruit software developers, which now I found my passion and I know where I want to be. So ultimately, here I am. I left the startup that I had started about 5 years ago. We grew that company from, I was the 7th employee. We grew it to 200 people in a very short time. So I had not done recruiting for almost 5 years. And then I threw myself right back into it to a point of detriment where we had 90 days to hire 60 senior software developers. And I didn't even understand what technical recruiting was. So jumped in, learned how to do that, and then figured out that, you know what, now is my time to go be an entrepreneur. I made the jump about a year and a half ago. Best decision I've ever made, scary as a day. But we have a huge need in this area for technical recruiting, and I love the technical side. So I was able to capitalize on the market now that we just need so much talent. And so why not build a recruiting shop the way that I think it should be done? And we can get into that in a little bit.
Wow. So, as a young girl, 10 years old, you learned about working hard, work ethic, earning your own money, being independent. I can resonate with everything you're saying. I was exactly the same. So, it's about taking that step, understanding what you really want in life and going for it. And it sounds like that's exactly where you're at the moment, Leanne. Yeah,
I'm in a really good spot. I'm not going to lie, it was not easy to make that jump and to leave that cushion, position. But I'm glad I did, because I'm learning a lot along the way. But here I am where I have the freedom and the leadership to do what I want to do. So it's great.
Great. So we're in the recruitment, you and I and many others have been in the recruitment and the talent space for a long time now. And so the Dream Big series is all about looking forward. What is the future of recruitment? What is the future of talent? And what do you think, in your opinion, with all the experience that you've had, what are the biggest challenges, global challenges, facing the recruitment industry today?
Sure. So, I think a lot of the challenges that we have today, and this is something that I learned recently in the Top Recruiter competition. I think my takeaways from last week were amazing, and they were huge learning experiences from an exposure standpoint, and then also just having new perspective. And I think one of the biggest things that I see is, and I can even give you some examples in the show, is that, a lot of people in our industry are stuck in the phone book, cold calling all day long. I only know this way. This is the way it has to be recruiting. Where I feel like the folks that are our age and kind of in this industry are stopping what we're doing, and we're saying, hey, you know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a faster way to do it. There's got to be a better way than just trolling LinkedIn all day while it's convenient. How are we stopping and getting outside the box to think of ideas and get creative on how to make, one, recruiting not seem so salesy and so threatening to people, and two, to change that mindset? Because at the end of the day, when you think about it as a recruiter, your best moments are when you find that candidate the perfect job that they would not have without, if you didn't exist, they would never know about that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So, right? And to me, that is like the most satisfying thing. People don't see that. And so I think we need to change the recruiting industry so that it's a softer sell, if you will, where we're actually people that are out there looking for the right opportunity to bring it to your doorstep, because we understand how to align you and match you up accordingly. And we can build a relationship with you over time so that, we get to a point where we get a new rec in the door and we're like, oh, I'm blow drying my hair and I think of this person this morning. Duh, you'd be perfect there, That's our job, and our job is fun. And it's so key and vital to the industry that I think that a lot of people are on the verge of, oh, well, software is going to take it over. And I really don't believe that's going to happen. You cannot take this human connection when you have a family and children and mortgages and cars to pay, all that, the bills adding up. You cannot just make a leap with what the computer's telling you to do. You've got to have that connection to feel that trust and that bond.
Yeah.
So I think the industry is changing a lot, but I think, it's going to take, as a CEO and as an entrepreneur, that has been one of my biggest, I think, changes and directions that I've been leading here, even in Silicon Harbor, is finding out, okay, stopping and saying to myself, look at the problems that we have right now. Am I solving them? And so with OneinaMil, we do technical recruiting, we do executive placements, but also I decided, I've got all these people coming to me and they're saying, I need a interim accountant, an interim social media marketing person. Now, these aren't things that we do, but do I have these connections? Yes. So I have literally just put up the startup solution, another avenue on our website. Sure. And now we've just created another way for me to get inside of companies to figure out what their needs are. But we're also helping startups at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And so today we are looking at things like, still recruiters are looking at things like LinkedIn. I mean, what's the shift from surfing LinkedIn for passive candidates to what are we going to be doing in the future to find candidates?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm pretty sure all the recruiters at this point are burnt out on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
I'm just so over it. I mean, it served its purpose for sure for a long time, but we are always sitting around after hours at the office going, what is the next LinkedIn? Like, how can we get on top of that? I think it's just, it's being recruiters that are passive in other ways, right? So another creative thing that we've done here in Charleston is we've created a thing called Talent Bootcamp. And at first you're like, oh, that I don't even understand what she's doing with that. Why would she waste her time to teach children or students or people that are getting out of one industry going to another, to teach them how to be deliberate about their career? Mm-hmm. We have coding schools here that pump out 20 new students every 9 weeks. So they allow me to come in and use their place for free if I give it to their students for free. And it's a whole Saturday. So what recruiting firm do you think gets all those 20 students first and foremost, because I'm helping them with their resumes so that I can help place them? It's putting yourself in those environments to be creative and to be non-threatening and to find ways in the recruiting industry to really just, do what we're good at and not follow that old stigma of just cold calling and phone books all day long.
No. And it's about building relationships. I've always said that recruitment it should be a longer term strategy. It shouldn't be a short term, you're in, I got you a job, we don't have anything else to do with each other. It's about, okay, I'm here for the long term. So, that whole mind shift, isn't it, around long term relationships that you can build over time.
I know. There's nothing better for me when I can place someone, like right now we're going through kind of a shift here locally where there's a lot of people that I placed 5 years ago who are now looking again. To get them a job twice and 3 times, and when I relocated them and their entire family here from Chicago, from Boston, wherever it might be, it's like the best feeling when you can just keep those relationships up, and it's awesome. It's perfect. It's just such an easy match,
And it's good for business. It's good for the candidate. It's good for the greater good. It's all, it fits. If you can retain clients, if you can retain candidates, you will be able to find the match a lot easier than, say, going to multiple recruiters. So I think OneinaMil, and the way that Leanne has set up her business model is that she will find you the 1 in a million candidate. That's how you set it up, haven't you, Leanne?
I have, yeah. And we went back and forth with the name, and I think it fit perfect because we were trying to identify, we're trying to find the candidate, the 1 in a mill job for them. But then on the flip side of that, with hiring on culture first, you're identifying that one-in-the-mill candidate for each. So one thing that we will not do is we literally will turn down clients if they just want us to bring them billable warm bodies to sit in a seat. We will not do it, because I think what we bring to the table is so much more than that. So if we can identify the exact culture fit for you and bring that in, to me, that means so much more, because that person's going to stay there for years. Your client believes that they got, the most bang for their buck because the person's still there. It's just a great match.
Yeah, fantastic. And so candidates, let's focus on candidates and and we're talking globally now. It doesn't matter whether it's the US, New Zealand, Australia, UK. What for you are the 3 do's? What should candidates absolutely do? The 3 top do's for you. When you're looking at CVs, when you're recruiting, what should they be doing?
Yeah, sure. I love this question because I'm very passionate about this side of the business as well. And one of the things in the talent bootcamp that we run is, we teach people to literally be deliberate about your career search. So no longer is it okay to just send resumes into a black hole and hope that something sticks. No longer is it okay for, a candidate to schedule a phone interview with a recruiter and not have any idea what position they're interviewing for. And they're like, I applied to something, I'm not really sure. No, that's not okay anymore. And so what I would suggest as the number one thing is to go out and be deliberate about your job search. So if you're going to make a career move, that's a huge deal, right? For everybody involved, your family, your friends, everybody, the company that's going to hire you. And so I think if you sit down and you go and you do all your research, these are the companies I want to work at. This is why. Here are all the Glassdoor reviews. Here's who I'm going to be interviewing with. Here's their LinkedIn profiles. Being overly deliberate about where you want to work and how you're going to get into that organization, rather than just taking anything. Because at the end of the day, money, I have found money means nothing when it comes down to your career. If you are miserable, I can offer you another $50,000, but you're not going to stay. So you've got to just find something that you're passionate about and find that company that will give you the environment and culture and everything that you want.
And just for our audience, Glassdoor. If you're not using Glassdoor, then you're not in the game. Yeah, so make sure you get in, you find Glassdoor. It's very easy to find. You just Google it and it will tell you about the organization, and also it will give you reviews of different managers within the organization. You cannot not be on Glassdoor, guys. So that's a bit of top tips from Leanne. Get on Glassdoor. Okay. So
yes, and use it in your interview too. Like when you are going into interview, you have to remember that you're interviewing them as well. This is a two-way street. And so finding those different comments on Glassdoor and then bringing them up in the interview sometimes are helpful. Obviously, you want to be classy and polished about it, but it's a good way to show that you've done your research.
Yeah. So be professional about it. You've read a few things, you've seen a few reviews. What have they got to say about what they're saying, what others are saying about their company? It's a valid question. So what else would you suggest they do?
Okay. So, so being deliberate. So I would say number 2 would be to take control of the interview. I would say that, you could never over prepare enough, right? But I think, pepping yourself up for why you want to be there. I always coach people too, and this is going to sound a little silly, but I'll say it anyway. Text your friends the night before what you're wearing. Send them a selfie. Send them some pictures of what you're wearing. Give your friends some options. Get your support system involved. Get yourself really pumped up and excited because you've done your research. You deserve to be there. You are interviewing this company as well. So take control and, wear whatever it is, all the way down to if you have to go buy brand new underwear and new heels to feel good, do it. Get your best outfit on. Be your best version of yourself that day. Don't just come in and, half-ass it. Do it 150% so that you can walk out of there. Even if you don't get the job, you at least got interview experience. And I would say just ask the tough questions, ask, why is this position open? Did somebody leave? Is there just more money coming in? Do we get more funding? If it's a startup, ask the hard questions. What stages are we at in the funding? Where, what does the 5-year plan look like? What does the vision look like? I always say to people too, is when you take control of the interview, it always intimidates the recruiters, I think, which is okay. It should be a back and forth, right? And I think it's important to say things, like if you are interviewing at an internal organization, to say to the recruiter, what are some things that you love about your job and what are some things that you would change? Really kind of putting them on the spot and asking the really tough questions, but don't ask the wrong questions just to ask them.
Yeah.
Do be thoughtful about it. Sit down and write down all the right questions you want to ask, and then go in there with confidence and ask those questions so that they know that you are asking all the right questions and that you are the perfect fit for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I'm always asked is around CVs. So are CVs still a do? And what do CVs need to include? So I've got a lot of people that are saying, actually, I'm not doing my CV anymore. I just do a video, and that's how I send it in to potential clients and for actual jobs. And so there's a different side of things now. But are CVs still useful, Leanne?
So I always get that question too, and I love it because I think the industry is changing. I'm pretty sure that we are no longer going to have resumes soon, and I'm okay with that. I think the rest of the recruiters are too, because when you think about the 6 seconds it takes us to look through each one, I mean, are we really giving candidates what they deserve? I think that's probably the worst part of our job, is flipping through so many, resumes. But I would say, for me, I'm in the technical world. I'm in software development. And so two things there. As a recruiter in the software industry, you should always have a portfolio resume. I should never, ever, ever be sent a paper resume, because you're in the technology world, right? So I should just get a simple link with your portfolio to see all the different languages that you can code in. I should see examples of your code. I should see some that's on open source for GitHub. I should know that you're innovative and forward thinking enough to take that step, and to not waste my time with a paper resume. I think for the other positions, people are getting very crafty with videos, and I love that, and I embrace that, and I hope we can get rid of the resume altogether. So if you can be creative, I say go for it. Okay,
great. And is it for some roles and not for others?
I think here's what's happening too, is for the other roles, a lot of times I'll place executive folks, the C-level, and they have, 5 and 6 page resumes. And a lot of times my clients now are like, you know what? Don't even give me the resume. Just show me the LinkedIn. Let's work with that, because it's so much more, summarized. And I think for other positions, resumes currently in 2015, I will note this, are still being used and are still, you want to make it brief, make it short, make sure that your email address is the right email address. It's not ilovedolphins@gmail.com. It's something professional. It's something, that adds character. So I think the resume still goes a long way right now, but if we had the same conversation next June in 2016, I hope I tell you that we don't use resumes at all.
Okay, so we'll have that conversation. Don't worry.
I hope so.
And so there's a few things that even I would say in terms of the don'ts, and I see people on LinkedIn saying, I am seeking a job opportunity. I have no works, things like this in their title. I'm sorry, but you cannot be portraying or presenting yourself in that way. For me, and I don't know how it is for you, Lam, but it comes across as maybe a little bit desperate. What do you think?
So you said, sorry, it broke up there a little bit, with the titles on LinkedIn.
Yes.
That they're inflating their titles, or
just literally saying that they are looking for job opportunity. I no longer have a current role.
Oh yeah, that's awful.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see that. No. Recruiters want to see that you're employed. And we don't want you to lie about it.
No.
But I do think that, and I've coached a lot of people on this before, is that when you leave a job, so say for example, you get laid off, you should say to that organization, is it okay if I leave that it's present on, like 2010 to present, just for like the next 4 to 5 months, 6 months, until I can get a job, so that recruiters will look at me. That's okay to do.
Okay.
And then when a recruiter calls you, I think it's okay to be very honest and say, my company allowed me to do this because I did such a great job for them, but I did unfortunately get laid off, so I'm not presently with that company. But never put a note on top of your LinkedIn saying that, you are just, looking for work and unemployed, because it just is what it is. We're not going to look at you,
No, great. And what about profile pictures on obviously, I mean, I look at people's profile pictures. Are they as important as we think they are on your profiles on LinkedIn?
So I think they are. I don't I have a hard time reaching out to somebody for a position if I can't see their picture. I don't know why that is, but I feel like I almost make a connection with them when I can see what they look like. I can see their entire profile. And if they don't have one, I almost feel like, well, are they really putting in enough effort into their own brand? And are they really excited about what they bring to the table if they're just leaving that blank? Because I feel like there's less and less people doing that nowadays. Not putting a picture up, that is. And I think it's extremely important to put up the picture from a recruiting perspective, because all we want to do is we want to build that relationship with you. And I just want to see your face. And so for me, it's super important. It's not a deal breaker, because in my world, the technical positions are really hard to fill. So I can't be that picky.
Yeah.
With just a profile pic, but I do, if you ask me, what my thoughts are, I definitely would want to see a profile pic.
Okay, great. So there you go. For our listeners, make sure that you are very determined and very targeted about the role that you're looking for. Yeah. So you want to be very driven, very targeted about what you're looking for. You want to do your research. You want to be able to turn up being the best version of yourself, very important. And, make sure that you are, especially in the technical space, online. You've got your profile available for people like Leanne and especially in the technical space. CVs, yes, today we're saying that they still are available, but let's see, in a year's time, maybe not. And video, yeah, very creative way of pitching yourself and pitching your brand, and make sure that your LinkedIn profile has a picture that is professional versus maybe something that you've had at a going away party. Very important. So Leanne, the whole series is about dreaming big, and I know you're a big dreamer. I know that you've got big plans. So can you share with us what your dream big goals are for the next year? So 2015, 2016.
Yeah, sure. I do love, dreaming big. That's kind of waking up in the morning is a fun thing for me to do. I'm sure it is for you too, because it's how many things can we get our hands into, and sleeping is, always second. But it's fun, and we wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. So I think for me and for OneinaMil right now, we started small in Charleston because the startups were in dire need of our help. And so we came in at affordable cost for them, finding them the right talent. We were able to build software development teams from the ground up for Charleston startups. And while that is still our number one passion, and that's still something we want to be known for in the industry, I think it's time for us to go globally. And we have just started recruiting nationwide. And so we started working on some accounts in San Diego, Dallas, Colorado, Beverly Hills, Florida, DC, Pax River. So we are finally branching out, which is really, it's been fun because it gives the recruiters some diversity on their roles that they get to learn and work with in the technical space. So I think going globally next, and really just starting to hit the masses nationwide so that we can continue to provide the best top talent there is nationwide. I think technology is making that so much easier for all of us nowadays. So it's getting even more fun to get new accounts that are not in Charleston. So, by this time next year, I hope, we've got 4 recruiters now. I hope we double or triple in size by next year, and just get really good at finding that OneinaMil hire all over the world. So that's really our big goal.
Wow. And, I would also like to acknowledge Leanne for, I'm very much work with a lot of women entrepreneurs and startups, and by dreaming big, by taking action, by reflecting on the things that maybe didn't work and then trying something new, look at what Leanne has been able to create in such a short time. She was very targeted at the beginning. Now she's looking at growth and not waiting. She sees the opportunity, and I think that's what I also want to get across in this interview, is around really going for what you believe in and what you're passionate about, and actually building a business around your skill set. So Leanne knows exactly what she's good at. And once you know that, you can actually build a unique business around it. And I think that's also, one of the key messages that I want to get across, especially to women. And I don't know what else you'd like to say about that as well, Leanne.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think being a woman in the tech space too has been interesting. And I think one of the things that I really am passionate about is not only pushing more women to get into the tech world, because software is essentially eating the world and it's awesome. And I'm super excited about it, but to train and mentor recruiters to be really, really awesome at technical recruiting, so that we can speak the language, that we understand it, that we are not just on the other end of the phone trying to fill a rec. Like, we literally get down to the details and we understand our clients and our candidates on both sides. But at the same time, what I love doing is mentoring other women and teaching other women. And so hopefully I will be able to, lead by example and help other people take that jump off that ledge to go do what they're passionate about and build a business around it. Because I didn't think I would be where I was today, but it just happens. If you keep pushing forward and you don't let the small things bother you, and you're going to hit speed bumps, it's going to happen. Sometimes you're going to hit a valley and you're going to be swimming in it, but you just got to crawl out, keep your head down, stay focused, and make sure that you are happy doing what you're doing, and everything else comes.
Absolutely. And Leanne's just been part of a amazing series, and it's actually going to be a film. Do you want to just quickly tell us about what you've been part of in Miami?
Yeah, sure. So I just got back from Miami, which was crazy. If you want to see some of the clips, we are live on Periscope at OneinaMil CHS for Charleston. Same thing for Twitter. It's OneinaMil CHS. And then we're all over Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So we did post a lot of pictures and a lot of videos. We did a lot of interviews there too, which was neat. But I was a part of the Top Recruiter, which is also called the Movement. And it was a group of recruiters. There was 6 of us that started out. They threw a few more in the mix midweek to try to shake things up, but it was to really just kind of push forward to see who was going to be the top recruiter. So we had about, 20 or so advisors, mentors, judges. We got to stay in Jackie Chan's house right in Miami. And it was just neat because everybody was passionate about the industry. The competitions that we did were really neat and really driven, really focused. And we got to have the conversation that we had there, I couldn't put a price on, because I came back here to Charleston with a whole list of things that I learned that I'm going to implement moving forward. And to me, that was the relationships that I built there. Being a part of something so neat, living in a mansion with 8 other recruiters is crazy. I mean, I did it because I thought I live once. I've got to do this, and it was a great experience, and I learned a ton that week.
Yeah. So OneinaMil experience as well.
That's for sure. And, it's kind of one of those things too that when it does get picked up, you always want to have a legacy of some sort. And so I feel like I'm trying to build whatever that is, that legacy of, people can look back and say, well, she had an impact here, there, whatever. She created jobs. She helped other women get, into the entrepreneurial boat and sail away. And then for the recruiting, the top recruiter, it was a crazy, crazy week. Really interesting experience, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, you only live once, right?
Absolutely. And, I know you're still processing that week. So, I'm sure you'll have some insights to share with us over the next few weeks. And, I'd also like to thank Chris Lavoie. I mean, because of him, we connected. Because of him, you were part of the Top Recruiter series. And I think he's got a lot to do with, the movement and where we're taking the recruitment and the talent industry. So, Leanne, I would love to stay and talk to you for hours and hours, and I know that we will stay connected. Thank you for joining on the Dream Big interview series. I'm interviewing a lot of the others also who were part of the Top Recruiter series. But for me, the special things that I got out of today's interview with you is about really understanding, you know, who you are, what you bring in terms of value to the industry, and really going for it. I mean, that's what I've taken away from your interview, and I think a lot of the audience will also take away as candidates, you know, those do's. You're in the middle of it. You're seeing technical candidates all the time, and I think that top tips, those practical tips, is exactly what our audience is also looking for. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to being a part of any of the other series that you do in the future. So.
And likewise, if you need any support from me, you know how to contact me. Okay, Leanne, have a great evening. Enjoy your evening in Charleston, and we'll catch up again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.